February 17, 2025, at exactly 3:27 p.m. Right now, we are facing two Humvees carrying Ukrainian commando units. It really is an amazing sight. Ukrainian commandos are moving toward the village of Guyevo and Kursk. This moment shows the real face of war once more. However, the Ukrainian commandos in both Humvees did not know about the 25-8 fight or the road ahead that was full of mines. As 25 North Korean artillerymen and infantry troops set up camp in the village of Guyevo, Kursk, to break through the Kharkiv-Sumy line, two Humvees with 8 people on board quietly drove down the village road. The Humvees had V-shaped armor that pushed mine blasts to the sides, and their tires were set to the right pressure for driving off-road. Also, M2A1 and RADA turrets that could be controlled from a distance were spinning around excitedly on the roofs of both cars. The two Humvees were getting ready to attack the field headquarters in the minefield that the Korean detachment had just set up from the southwest, without making any noise. There was a vehicle commander, probably a captain, a radio operator, a sniper, a support gunner, 2 infantrymen, and a bomb robot operator inside the Humvees. The group kept going in a complicated formation with 2 Humvees. They were on edge, waiting for something to happen at any moment. They had HK-416A7 rifles in front of them and lightweight composite ballistic plates on their backs. One of them had a 7.62mm caliber QBU-10 semi-automatic sniper rifle. A small tracked vehicle with a GM-94 grenade launcher was parked next to one of the Ukrainian commandos inside the Humvee. A Cisco Kyber tactical modem in the Humvee's body connected the team's wired, wireless, and satellite communications. This made it possible for everyone in the room to see the same amazing view on the screen. The screen probably showed the way, markers for enemies, an electro-optical map, and a chart showing how many signals there were. In the chaos of war, every little thing was very important. I thought about how important this information was while I was glued to the screen. At any time, everything could change. Ukrainian commandos were bravely moving out of the Humvees and moving forward with the goal of killing the North Korean soldiers stationed here. These times do show the cruel side of war again, but both Humvees, which were carrying the Ukrainian Special Operations Forces Strela 9 team, had some problems. The Humvees were moving slowly on purpose, as if they were waiting for something. As was said before, it was known that North Korean volunteers had put pressure mines on the roads around the village of Guyevo, which was a few kilometers behind them. The engine speed was never more than 800 RPM, and the tire pressure had been set for driving on rough terrain. 2 days before, Strela 9 had gotten this information from a satellite report. In fact, getting this kind of information on time can change what happens. The first step in the plan was to cross this mined area with the help of electronics from the armored vehicle and the Humvee. The Humvee looks like a regular pickup truck from the outside, but it is much more than that. This car is known for being able to handle conditions, and for being able to be used by the military. But this model has a V-shaped hardened plate on the bottom of the engine compartment that directs the shock of an explosion to the sides. The driver of the Ukrainian Humvee messed with the tire inflation buttons in both vehicles' cockpits, lowering the thick tires to 25 psi. This move helped the armored body spread its weight out better on the soft ground. A 6.5-liter turbo diesel engine made a quiet but powerful noise under the hood. The Humvee seemed to have a secret power that kept it from going as fast as 110 kilometers per hour. But because the mission was to deliver packages and stay hidden, being quiet was more important than being fast. 2 Humvees in the back had a 12.7mm M2A1 machine gun on the roof and a Protector RS-4 remote-controlled station. A closed observation tower with a thermal camera is used to aim the weapons. The operator carefully controls it from inside with a joystick. A Starlink antenna and a RADA-Cube mini radar were turning behind the full roof, always sending back new pictures of the area. This moment shows how powerful technology is and how quickly the world changes. It was clear that the Strela 9 was smart. A group of 25 people from North Korea was waiting at a new field headquarters on the Kursk inner line. It was getting ready to try to sneak into Kharkiv and Sumy in the afternoon, following orders from Russian advisors. It was a tense time, a time when everything could change. The photo discovery showed that this detachment had standard Korean weapons. Type 58 assault rifles, Type 68B light machine guns, a few DP-64 double-barreled grenade launchers, and a few Makarov pistols. More importantly, it was really impressive to see Korean-made M1989 Koksan cannons in action behind the detachment. These 170mm howitzers are known for their long range and could suddenly cover the Ukrainian steppe with high explosives. The plan was to start by sending Humvee vehicles into the area from the southwest instead of the north, as the Koreans had thought. This would allow for close contact and a raid on the base. Then he got ready to call in fire from a distance to take out the Koksan artillery. A Private 2 mini-drone that was attached to one of the Humvee vehicles took off in a flash of light when the vehicles crossed the 3-kilometer border zone. It flew for 20 minutes, scanning the route and confirming the expected mine array. This situation showed once more how close the danger was. They found a TM-62 pressure mine, 2 OZM-72 booby traps, and 3 PFM-1S plastic butterfly mines. Even though the weather was bad, the Humvee drivers had a hard time fixing the route. The V-plate made it more likely that the car would survive the mines, but if the tires were ripped off, the car would slow down and lose that unexpected advantage. The Humvee drivers stopped early, expecting something to happen, and let the tracked mini-robot down. Excited. What a thrilling time! The tracked robot did a LiDAR scan for the next 50 meters. It drew a red line in front of the pressure plate to show where the TM-62 was going. One of the Ukrainian drivers tried to steer the Humvee a little to the left so that it could go over a dirt mound made of tree roots. A PFM-1S butterfly mine hit the back right tire just as it was about to leave the set. There was a thin explosion that sounded like a flute. The tire split along the sidewall, but the run-flat ring was stuck in the rim. The car kept going toward the road. After the shock, everyone held their breath as the car slid to the left and got back on its feet. The commando unit inside the Humvee kept moving slowly down the rest of the road. The other Humvee followed, getting around these problems and moving on. The Humvee's engines were turned off when they were only half a kilometer away. The two cars were driven into the shade of trees and covered with a net. This moment makes things more tense, as if a secret is being kept. In the dark, Ukrainian commandos quietly opened the doors. A few soldiers suddenly stopped and went into the trench. There was a tense moment. From inside the trench, a Ukrainian commando moved away from the Humvee and fired a GM-94 pump-action grenade launcher that could hold 6 rounds. A trench line is the name for the deep L-shaped trench. The Ukrainian commando threw 4 grenades filled with CS gas. The grenades hit the ground and white smoke started to rise into the air. Their eyes started to hurt, and they got up and ran away right away. But at that point, one of the Ukrainian commandos got hurt. People knew that this soldier was the one who had fired the grenade launcher. After that, another Ukrainian commando took the grenade launcher and kept driving the North Koreans away. Following their orders, the commanders of both Humvee vehicles split their teams into 2 groups. The Ukrainian commandos not only surrounded the North Korean soldiers, but they also had to protect the sides of the Humvees. During the attack, the Korean soldiers quickly moved to respond to the Ukrainian commando unit that had come in Humvee vehicles. The Korean group sent the M1989 Koksan battery the coordinates and sent up a small cargo drone that was based on the DJI design. During a time of high tension, this event was noted as a major development. The drone was supposed to attack the Ukrainian team from above. The Humvee vehicles did pick up the RADA-Cube radar signal though, and the ECM tower blocked it at 1.5 gigahertz. Because of this, the North Korean soldiers' drone video feed suddenly stopped working. One of the Ukrainian commandos got out of the Humvees and carefully followed his target with his sniper rifle. He saw the drone's body at that moment and shot it down with 1 shot. A moment that really impressed me. But the Koreans had only guessed the coordinates. The Koksan cannon shoots 2 rounds a minute at a very high speed. This moment is so exciting that it takes my breath away. The first round hit a deep crater close to the trench that the Strela 9 had left behind, which scared everyone in the area. The 30-meter crater showed once more how horrible war is. One of the Humvee's side armor was hit by shrapnel. At the same time, one of the Ukrainian commandos on the right flank was doing a great job with his HK-416. 5 Korean infantrymen, who were left behind in the smoke, were firing blindly with Type 58s. It was a tense time, and no one knew what would happen. With a quick burst of gunfire, the Ukrainian commando killed 2 North Korean soldiers and scared the other 3. 2 Ukrainian commandos move forward bravely and with purpose in the sun. They feel the weight of everything they left behind with each step. One Korean with a QBU-10 and a DP-64, and the other with a HK-416, take out the North Korean soldier's assistant. A momentary clash is a time when the tension is at its highest. Korean commander Makarov, who was in the middle of the trench, panicked and shot 3 times into the air with his pistol. The other men probably thought this was a sign to attack. The 25 men suddenly jumped out of the bushes. But at that moment, one of the Humvee's M2A1s fired 50 rounds in a row. The bullets hurt the Korean soldiers' makeshift defense line and pinned them to the ground. The Skovoroda robot moved toward the trench corridor while holding a thermobaric M397 bomb. As the tension grew, it rolled the bomb inside. The tunnel walls fell apart because of the extra pressure, and the last Korean who was still fighting was blown away by the shockwave. 4 or 5 Koreans tried to get away with their last chance of living. But there was no way to hide in the open field. 4 small drones flew up and dropped 2 homemade fragmentation bombs below them. It was like a scene from a movie, and our hearts raced as we watched. 1 more Korean soldier died, and 2 others gave up. One of the soldiers who gave up had a blue plastic ID card in the pocket of his jacket. This moment shows once more how serious what happened was. The ID of this soldier says that he was a field service technician in the Korean People's Army's 7th Artillery Brigade. One of the Ukrainian commandos carefully put the paper in a plastic bag. He also made sure to write the date on it while holding it up to the camera. In the meantime, we can still see the Koksan battery line in the field. It has not gone away. The Grad battery's ECM picked up new radio traffic from a Humvee. RADA-Cube quickly triangulated the gun's exact location, which was very clear. The Humvee's vehicle commander sent these important coordinates to the HIMARS battery of the 27th Artillery Brigade using the digital tactical network. It was clear how excited and responsible everyone was because things were happening so quickly. The brigade was 45 kilometers behind, ready and waiting. The ramps had hit 2 GMLRS shells very well. A distance of 70 kilometers was used to fire 2 rockets. The first rocket hit the Koksan-barreled 2B-17 ramp 160 seconds later. The second one hit the truck carrying ammunition right next to it. There was a lot of tension at that moment. In just 2 minutes, a huge explosion stopped the Korean artillery. The noise that came out of nowhere made everyone's heart stop. The North Korean soldiers' counterfire finally stopped in Kursk. The Strela 9 stayed in the area for 40 minutes and picked up all the magazines. We figured out what was important, and one of the Humvees had a problem on the road. The internal sensor switched to run flat safe mode to deal with the flat tire. They retreated to the southwest at a speed of 60 kilometers per hour, and no Russian or Korean troops joined them along the way. The situation is getting worse in a scary, quiet way. This was because ECM suppression had been used on the Zoopark 3 radars first. After that, HIMARS went after them. One of the Ukrainian commandos was hurt in the 2 Humvee vehicles that made it to the base. Sad. At that moment, everyone's hearts broke when the soldier was taken to the emergency tent. When the car went in for repairs, pictures were taken of shrapnel hitting the V-plate, and pieces of mines were carefully cut out with a saw. The armored cabin was in great shape, and all of the electronic modules were there. The report on the operation only had cold numbers, as if feelings had been left out. 8 Ukrainians, an armored vehicle, 2 tracked robots, and a mini reconnaissance drone were all finished successfully. On the other hand, all 25 Korean infantrymen were taken out of action. The Koksan cannon, the ammo truck, and the 2 surveillance drones were all destroyed. There was 1 death on the Ukrainian side, but no losses. The price was thought to be 4 CS gas grenades, 1 thermobaric bomb, and 400 rounds of ammo. These numbers show how horrible war really is. It is exciting to say that 2 GMLRS rockets are also on the list. This is because the last HIMARS strike by Ukrainian artillery happened before the operation ended. The situation got even worse when morale fell after the losses on the Russian-Korean side, the $30 million damage to radar guns, and the cancellation of the infiltration operation. There were no sirens in the skies over Kharkiv and Sumy that afternoon. The reason for this was that there were no more cannons to fire in the north. The rocket batteries had been silenced, and the S-400 and S-300 radars had already been shot down the day before. The Korean steel hit the armor of the Humvee, but it did not go through it. 1 car, 8 men, getting ready, expecting surprises, and using technology. First, reason 1. Even though they were only 8 men, Ukrainian commandos were able to almost completely kill the North Koreans who were fighting for Russia in Kursk. Thank you for choosing us.